The focus Jesus wants to put to us is that we simply and humbly do our duty with no expectation of reward or becoming special. So Jesus tells a parable of a master and slave that I confess I would never have found to be appealing while I was busy in college trying to be a great quarterback and to expand my Christian influence as far and wide as I possibly could so that I could please the Lord. The right focus, he says, is doing our duty the way a slave does toward his master. That's it. Now, we probably need a short outtake here on Jesus using an analogy of slavery in a positive way. Did anyone else have a little bit of a question about that? Right? All right. So you can imagine how during the period of slavery in America, preachers and plantation owners alike would have appealed to this text to say, look, see, Jesus did not have anything against slavery. In fact, he ordered people, slaves, to obey their masters and praise them for doing so. And you can go on and on about that. Okay? It doesn't help necessarily to say that it's true that slavery in the New Testament did not focus on the subjugation of one particular racial group, like our version in antebellum America. I'll grant you, and we can stipulate, that slaves were more highly esteemed and regarded in that culture, that they were often more educated even than their masters, that they had lots of responsibility and all those sorts of things. We could sort of go on and on, blah, 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 about that. It was still slavery. And slavery was slavery. And we want to know, why didn't Jesus, with all of his focus on liberation and relieving oppression and all of that, not take it on right then? And I don't have a straight answer for you about that. I would only say this: he has taken it on since. That is to say, the living Christ was not finished here, but has been inspiring the church across the ages to take on this wicked institution of slavery and abolish it, though even today there are more slaves, do you realize, in our society today than at any time in human history? This is still the work of Christ in the world. But what he did was, even in this story right here, begin the process by undermining the institution from within. Notice what he did. He elevated the slave to the status of a model disciple. So, in other words, if you want to aspire to be great, you have to be a great slave. Wow. That changes things. Now, words like these appeal to slaves in the early church. Christianity flourished first in the slave world, did you know? In fact, that's the way it got into the upper classes, because the slaves in the households bore witness to their masters and changed Greco-Roman society as a result, from the bottom up, you might say. The Bible, you see, often lays breadcrumbs along the way on a trail and doesn't take us immediately there itself. But the living Christ through the Spirit helps us follow in order to do that work.